Boris Johnson is refusing to resign despite being swamped with resignations from his government ministers and aides, more than 40 in the last 24 hours.
Instead, he fired another one, his staunch defender Michael Gove, for suggesting it might be time to go. Johnson says resigning would plunge the country into chaos and his party might lose a snap election. Europe correspondent Lisette Raymer reports.
It's been a frenzied and feverish, drama-filled, popcorn-spilled political thriller of a day.
Is it all over, Prime Minister?
Ending in a situation so dire, the Downing Street cat is being asked to talk reason into the drowning Prime Minister.
Have you asked him to resign, Larry?
Everyone else's attempts to stage an intervention behind the door have so far failed.
Is the government collapsing, Mr. Shah?
Boris Johnson was hemorrhaging MPs from early this morning, and still he arrived at Parliament for grilling number one of the day with a joke at the ready.
This morning, Mr. Speaker, I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I expect I shall have further such meetings later today.
The laughter was short-lived.
What a pathetic spectacle. Exactly. The dying act of his political career is to parrot that nonsense.
The man who triggered the landslide of resignations, the now former Health Secretary,
Morning, Mr. Javid.
did his best to put the knife in.
Treading the tightrope between loyalty and integrity has become impossible in recent months.
But while the faces of those around him read doomsday, the Prime Minister said, not today.
The job of a Prime Minister in difficult circumstances when he's been handed a colossal mandate is to keep going, and that's what I'm going to do.
A historic 42 MPs and counting have now resigned. So many Johnson will struggle to find replacements willing to work for him, and the letters of no confidence are piling up. But by the second round of skewering, Boris Johnson had only grown more defiant.
Prime Minister, how's your week going?
Terrific. Like many others.
The committee member seen on his phone on the left here sent his letter of no confidence mid-meeting, while the Prime Minister was sitting in front of him. Having survived Partygate, the Bojo show looks to be in its final act. The Prime Minister caught out for promoting an MP despite knowing of sexual misconduct allegations against him, and then lying about it.
Does the Prime Minister think there are any circumstances in which he should resign?
But despite the Westminster whispers spreading news of an imminent resignation tonight, the Prime Minister instead finished up his day by firing one of his remaining ministers for disloyalty. Crisis? What crisis? Lisette Raymer, Newshub.
Well, Good Morning Britain's Lorna Shattuck is at Westminster, and a few moments before we came on air, I asked her what Boris's cunning plan was and whether it can save him.
Boris Johnson has always been what they call a lucky general. Up until now, usually things have come along in politics to save his skin. And I think, to be honest, the extent of his cunning plan at the moment is hoping that something like that will happen again. Whether that be something, for example, with the war in Ukraine or a constitutional crisis here, something which means that MPs have no choice but to keep him in office. Because as things stand at the moment, he's bought himself just a few days. On Monday, the 1922 committee, which of course sets the rules for backbench MPs in the Conservative Party, will be meeting potentially to change those rules, which would allow them to have another vote of no confidence in Boris Johnson. As things stand, it looks like they will indeed change those rules and he would lose that vote. So he's bought himself just a few days in power, but he is hoping that something could potentially happen in the meantime that allows him to stay in office. And the newspapers, a lot of them on their front pages this morning, have the headline, "Get Exit Done," a play, of course, on Boris Johnson's famous election slogan, "Get Brexit Done." Many of them now, including previously loyal newspapers, simply want him to go.
It will be interesting to see how this all plays out. Lorna, thank you so much. That's Lorna Shattuck live from Westminster.